Hey guys, welcome back to Blind Strike Exotics. I'm John, and today I want to talk about handling defensive ball pythons. Some of these tips can kind of be carried over to other snakes, but not all snakes act the same way. This is really going to be based on ball pythons, and when you have defensive snakes, most likely this is going to pertain more to hatchlings than it will be to your older snakes. Most of your older snakes should be used to being held and shouldn't feel like everything that's coming at them is going to harm them because they're a little bigger. They can defend themselves a little better. They don't have as much fear in their hearts. So this is really going to be about ball pythons and hatchlings in particular. I have one hatchling that still after a couple months old is just always just trying to strike. I'm going to go through how to get the snake out of your enclosure or tub, and then just handling tips overall, because typically if you have a snake like that, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to its surroundings and comfortable with being held. Most of the hatchlings I had this year were perfectly fine with being held, but there's one out of 20 or 30 that I had that just does not like me. So let's take a look. All right, so this girl is a little lesser Mojave girl. She's 2-3 months old, and she has not liked me since the day that I had to start handling her. Usually I open up the tub and she is ready to go at my face. Let's see, she's sort of... she's kind of curious looking right now. I don't know if she's going to be trying to strike or not. What you want to do is reduce the stress that you're putting on the snake when you're handling them. And for these ones that are already defensive to begin with, you don't want to have bad interactions with them, because that's just going to make it harder for you to build up that relationship with them that makes them feel a little safe. So she's looking kind of scared now. What you want to do is carefully pull the hide off of her. And as you can see right now, you can tell she's scared. She's coiled up kind of in an S shape around her neck. Her tongue is not flicking. It's really short, quick flicks. It's not like the long, slow flicks that, their tongues stay out for a while and they just flick like this. She's like, and she's back. That tells you that she's probably not in a good mood. When you're getting them out of their cage or tub, you don't want to come in like a claw, because when you come in like this, you look like you are a predator and you're trying to eat them. So what you want to do is you want to come in behind the snake, behind their head, and from up underneath them. That doesn't always work. Sometimes if they're just defensive, they know where you're at all times and they want to eat you. So what I'm going to try to do is come in from behind the snake and gently lift her up. Typically with these babies, they're not actually trying to bite you, they're trying to scare you. And they'll do more of like if they strike, they'll bump into you rather than actually try to sink their fangs into you. So we're going to try to come up from behind her, and she's already looking uneasy, but hopefully she doesn't try to strike today. It's real easy on her. And look, so she didn't strike at me this time. The last probably 5 or 6 times that I've taken her out of this tub, she has tried to bite me. And she has tried to bite me or strike at me after I've already had her out, which is very unusual. Usually when you get these guys out of their tubs, they are fine with being held. But she was actually trying to strike at me as I was holding her. And again, these guys aren't going to hurt you, especially at this size, and that's why you want to try to maybe get them younger if you're not familiar with snakes, because if you get them as babies, you are able to get them used to being handheld. But I have over 50 snakes here, and I have been bitten by a ball python one time in the last 2 years, and it wasn't even a defensive bite. It was actually, she bit me and actually coiled up, tried to eat me. So I must have had like a scent of a rat on my hand. So it's probably actually my fault more than the snake's. So I'm actually going to get her down on the table here, and I want to show you a couple other things about, you know, how we can get them out of the tub a little easier. Maybe if she shows a little more, a couple different ways of posture that we can tell you that shows that they're a little more defensive, not comfortable yet. So let's take a look at that. All right, as you can see, she is still coiled up here on the desk. She is not very comfortable. She has that, you know, S shape in her neck, which is kind of the strike position. Her tongue is not flicking at all. She's just straight up scared. So you want to try to reduce that. You don't want to present anything to her that's going to cause her any more stress. You don't want to be flailing your arms around. You don't want pets and kids flying by her. You want a very controlled environment to handle her and for her to be around. So again, you know, when you're picking up a snake that's defensive or scared, you know, you don't want the claw technique. You want to come in underneath her, and I can show you that again here. There. So she's okay. She's still not biting at me, and she's still happy for the most part. If something happens where you're trying to get them out of their tub and they're just not having it, and you're afraid of getting bit, you know, you don't want to get bit. I don't want to get bit. You know, this girl's not going to hurt me, but I still want to get bit by her. What I usually do with these guys when they start getting too strike happy is I take a piece of paper, and these are these little note cards I have for the breeding season, and I just kind of put it over their head. It's kind of like blinders on a horse. What that does is it kind of stops her from seeing my heat signature, smelling me, you know, seeing anything that can cause her harm. Kind of subdues them a little bit, you know, and makes her maybe even feel a little comfortable. And you can pick them up, and she's no worse for the wear. You know, it didn't scare her at all. And let's see those tongue flicks. There you go. Those tongue flicks are a little longer. They're a little slower. They're a little bigger. And what that's telling you is that maybe she is not as scared as she was when we first got her out, and that's a good thing. Now, the other thing you need to pay attention to when you're handling them is environmental things. See the heater back there in the corner? What I realized is like a week ago, I was getting her out. She was seeing that heat signature, and she was striking at that. I was holding her, and she was just like bite, 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 and she was aiming at that. Even from all the way over here. I mean, we're 15 feet away from it, and that was scaring her. So you need to be aware of, you know, environmental stuff like that. But as you can see, she is, you know, her tongue is still flicking. She's still not completely sure of it, but she's also not trying to bite me, and that's a good thing. It's really building up a relationship with your snake. You don't want to have bad interactions with them. You know, if this is your first snake and you get one that's a little defensive, just be cautious and just know that, you know, this little baby's not going to hurt you. She's not very big. Their teeth aren't very big. She's not, if she even sinks her teeth into you, it's going to be like a little scratch. You know, I had a snake probably 10 times her size bite me, and she actually sunk her teeth and wrapped around me. And the only thing it did to me was made a couple little scratches. I had a couple tiny little drops of blood coming out. It wasn't, you know, squirting out or anything. It was a very light brush. But these guys aren't going to hurt you, and you don't want to drop it if it tries to strike you. You don't want to scare it any more than it already is, because I guarantee you this girl with, you know, 5 or 6 more rounds of handling like this is probably going to be fine to come out and be held more often and probably not show any more of those defensive behaviors. Now I want to show you another hatchling who, since the day I've had her, has literally just been sitting at the front of her tub, and the second I pull it out, she is up over the rim of it and just crawling all over the place. Has never been defensive, has never showed any aggression, and literally wants to come out of the tub every time I pull it open. This is my little pastel Enchi freeway girl. Well, she's not actually sitting at the front today, but she'll still be happy to come out. Now this girl, I'll show you the difference in their behaviors. As you can see, she is definitely looking like she's more curious about what's going on. Her tongue flicks are a little more consistent. They're not too agitated. And as you can see, she's coming out right to me. I don't even need to pick her up. She always comes out right to the front of the tub. She's actually quickly becoming one of my favorite snakes because she's so friendly. And she's beautiful too. But, you know, once she gets bigger, she is going to be a really cool animal. Hopefully she remains this calm and this cool and collected. So let me pull her out and show you just kind of what she acts like, you know, as you're holding her and you see a more comfortable snake. So she's curious. She's cruising around. You know, they're not always, you know, flicking their tongue out, tasting for stuff. But when you see them real short and quick, you can tell that they're more agitated. She's not coiled up like in that S shape. She's wrapping around my hand. She's cruising around. She wants to see what's going on. There she is. She's just curious about the world. So she's not defensive at all. She has not been since I've had her. So, you know, with your hatchlings, you're really going to have to figure out, you know, what their temperament is. There's going to be some that are like her that are just ready to explore the world. There are going to be some like the last girl who wants to, you know, bite you and think that you're the enemy. And that's, you know, kind of their defense mechanism, which is okay. But you got to work with her to tell her that that's not what you are. You're there to be her friend. And some you just have that are scared. They won't try to bite you. They won't try to strike, but they'll just try to run away. And they'll hide in the back of their tubs, and they don't want to be seen. And sometimes those ones are the ones that are a little harder to feed. You know, this girl eats like a champ. The lesser Mojave girl eats like a champ. I've never had any issues feeding them. And that's a good thing. But some of the more timid snakes that, you know, are just kind of afraid of everything and just want to run, those are the ones that sometimes are harder to feed. So at least when they show a little more aggression or curiosity, they're usually good feeders too. But she is, those big, long tongue flicks are really what you want to see out of them. That shows you that they're comfortable with what they're doing and they're curious about the world. All right, that was just a short video about how to deal with an aggressive snake. I was kind of wishing that the lesser Mojave girl would have been a little more angry just to kind of show you guys what to do. And I don't know if I'll have a chance to make a video like this again for a while because none of my snakes are laying eggs, and she's really the last hatchling I had that was sort of crazy. You know, this little girl, she's hiding back there. You know, I'm okay with putting her on my shoulder. The last girl, probably not, because she probably wasn't trying to bite my neck. But these, you know, once they get to the point where they're, you know, a little more friendly, you can do this sort of thing with them. You have to be careful with the littler ones when you put them on your neck because they don't hold on as well, and you don't want them to fall. I think she's coming around the corner here. Here she is. But she's just curious. She's happy. She's cruising. And that's kind of where you want them to be. You're going to have to work with them. If they're hatchlings and they are defensive and they are trying to strike, you just need to have as positive interaction and as many positive interactions if you can. If you can't guarantee a positive interaction, try not to handle them at all. If you're worried about it, ease yourself into it too. And like I said, you know, getting the piece of paper, and, you know, if you're scared of them biting you, just kind of put it over their head. And if you can grab them from behind, underneath and behind them, usually once you get them out of the tub or cage, they're okay. You just don't want to be flailing your hands around and moving around the room too fast or have dogs flying by you and cats. Take them into a quiet room where it's just you. Try to be as calm as you can be, especially if you're not around snakes too often. It's your first one. And sooner or later you'll have a snake that is as cool and calm and collected as her. So that's it for today. Thanks for stopping by, and please remember to like and subscribe. See ya.